Parents aren't P. It's no wonder they cannot provide the centering axis, P being the pole axis. One can revolve their life around for any coherent, holistic evolution. The truth, as always, is inherent in the term. So it's so wonderful to have found someone who one can revolve one's life around. It's a very new thing for me. So I try not to think about my childhood very much. Like growing up, it was like, I was like the kid in the corner at a lot of parties and watching people have sex and orgies and do drugs and that sort of thing. I never had that big of a problem with it. I never thought I'd be better off in a square environment, and I still don't really. But the real problems started when my mother married an actual tortures kittens to death psychopath who was obsessed with me and not in a good way. If I looked at him wrong, he would put like cat feces in my bed. If I wrote something in my diary it didn't like, it would make everyone not talk to me for 2 weeks. But the worst part was like the way it would like lick the spoon like when something was cooking. It was so disgusting that I didn't eat dinner like the entire time it was there for about 5 years or 6 years or something. So that was that. And then somehow it was decided, and yeah, like my mother, went along with all of that. I think because she viewed me as a sexual threat, a threat to her getting all the attention that she wanted. If she brought, she was very much into getting attention. That was like her thing. And she couldn't see me in any other way, so she went along with all of that. I didn't hold it against her. Really, I thought that being burdened with a child was too high of a price that anyone should have to pay for a party girl lifestyle, so I never judged her or thought she was a crap mom. I just thought no one should have to be a mom because it seems so bad. So that was that, and then somehow it was decided that I should take my GED and go live with my aunt and go to junior college. And I mean, it was okay, except for, she would just attack me anytime that, like, I tried to access proper nutrition or anything resembling it. And at that point, I was still very slim, and I think I would have stayed that way if not for being exposed to her. So after like 8 or 9 months, like my mom called and, she started making it sound like we could be friends, and, the time living with the psychopath was a fluke, and, I could make a ton of money in the marijuana industry, and another girl wanted to go to Europe with me, and I should come back. So I was like, okay, and I did. And that was where everything started to go seriously wrong. Like, basically, the first thing she said to me was, that was your one chance in life, and you blew it. And she was, like, ecstatic. She was, like, so happy. Then she tossed me off to go house sit her friend's house. And her pot scene, like, she had like some pot scene there that I didn't know where it was, but there was an electrical fire, and so I called my mom, and she came over to check it out. She stayed for like 5 minutes, and then she drove off saying, if the cops come or the fire department comes, run, and then she just drove away, leaving me there. So I decided to take the person's clutch vehicle, which I did not know how to drive clutch, but I just decided to try just to get away. And obviously the car broke, and then I ended up having to pay for the car and not getting paid for house sitting. And so basically I was like, okay, screw this, I'll just go back to Santa Cruz. But right as I decided that, I sprained my ankle like horribly, and I like couldn't move for a month, or like 2 or 3 months or something. So as I was like laying there, I talked to like, I hate to call her my mother, but I talked to her about like trying to go to college or something, and then her response was like, get a man. And then as I got fatter, like laying in bed because I couldn't move, and then with my head all like messed up from being around my aunt, I was like starting to get fatter, and then she would like taunt me for not being able to get a man. I mean, it was like so psychotic. And I probably did raise my voice a couple times out of frustration, and I do kind of feel bad about that, because like no matter how many diplomatic outreach attempts you make, like to a child, like you're not going to get an adult response. And like when you're talking to someone who has the mind of a child, they're not going to be able to put it together that they did something. And and another horrible thing is that there was just nowhere to turn to. Like, my mother had this huge like victim complex, and everyone that she knew would just reinforce the idea to her that she was a victim. That I was like super horrible and she was a victim. Like that's the only way that she could see it. Like no one ever so that's why like I'll talk to her, but I just won't even talk to anyone in the community, any of her friends, because like yes, indulging her nonsense was the absolute worst thing that anyone could do, and they were so shameless. And I still have teacher aunties coming out of the woodworks to this day, like trying to just like somehow through their example of like being a dumpster fire of a human being, I'm supposed to like realize that everything was my fault. I'm a horrible person, and then I'm supposed to feel punished for being a horrible person too by their performance art of acting like a trash can of a human being. It's like so bizarre. Like, and I'm just so pleased that death is going to be the least of their problems. But anyways, like, after finding out that no one was more sane than my parents or community, to finally find someone that is actually more sane is so amazing. It's like a complete miracle, and nothing. Yes. If it wasn't for that, I don't even know what I would do. I'd just be like having a meltdown somewhere. Like, PT is the only source of sanity.